Hello everyone, this is Alessio from hotelboardgame.com. This is the first video interview. I had the opportunity to interview Max Ford, which is an important name in the story of hotel. Was meant to be a small interview, but it turned out to be a long, nice talk with a really nice guy. So I hope you have fun. You will find many secrets, many stuff that is lovely to see, to hear about hotel. Have fun. Bye. Hi, Max.
Buonasera.
Oh, it's great to see you. Nice to meet you first.
Nice to meet you. Finally.
Yeah, I am your worst nightmare, I know.
No, you're not my nightmare at all. Are you kidding? Salute.
Oh, salute.
Cocktail americano.
So, I must thank you for being here with us for our small interview. I hope my English is good enough for you. I hope
You don't worry.
you will understand
I'm happy.
everything
I'm
I
happy to be here.
say.
But I am also I'm going to drink and smoke at the same time, if that's okay. A little cigar.
Yeah, sure. Oh, it seems that you can speak my language too, Italian.
Many words. That's a bit much. I love Italy. I was in Italy a lot last year as well. It's my favorite place. I'm English, but I live in Amsterdam, and I holiday in Italy. That's basically my life. Uh, I had a girlfriend in Rome for a year, so I was there many times. I know Rome well, and I shoot my television commercials, including the one for Hotel in Firenze. And I last year I traveled finally to Capri, and to Napoli, and also to Puglia, and yeah. So, and this year I'll go to Sardinia and to Sicily, and yeah, I love your country, man. Where are you based? Where do you live?
Well, I live in the north of Italy, near the
Ah,
lakes.
okay. Which one? Are you the Garda or the Como?
No, no, the
Yeah,
Como.
you're at Como.
Yeah, it's cool.
Heaven.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
live in heaven. You
yeah,
lucky man.
yeah.
Lucky man.
I must admit it's a nice place to live.
Yeah, it's nice.
So, I guess we can start our interview. I think that first you can
Yeah.
introduce yourself for the ones who still don't know
Okay.
about you.
Well, of course. So my name is Max Ford. I am the son of a man called Roger Ford who passed away. And my father was in the games business for a very long time. And one of the first things he did working for a company called MB, Milton Bradley, was design the hotel game that they had taken from a company called Dennis Fisher, the original hotels, and uh, he and a man called Malcolm Unwin, who was a graphic designer working for MB, developed the classic 1986 hotel that I grew up with. I think you fell in love with also. And it was a big memory for me as a boy. I mean, it was cool having a father making games, working for MB, which was then bought by Hasbro, a huge company. And so I grew up with GI Joe and Transformers and all these things, but in a slightly more special way because my father was Tom Hanks in Big, the movie. My father was Tom Hanks, so he ran the product development team for MB, but also Hasbro. When Hasbro bought MB, he became the senior vice president of uh, design. So not just games, but also toys. And so he became very good friends with the inventor of Hotel, whose name is Jeff Hayes. And Jeff, also a man who passed away a long time ago. Jeff and my father became best friends. And when my father left Hasbro and started his own company, Jeff asked my father, I think Jeff was dying at the time, from cigar smoking, which I inherited from my father and Jeff Hayes. Um, and I think one of my earliest memories as a boy was in a place in London where I was, a young boy. I was, I think, 5, maybe 6, and they were playing the prototype of the 1986 hotel. So actually, I was born in 1979, so it would have been when I was 6. So the year before it came out, 1985, and they were smoking cigars, playing the game, and it made me sick, and I had to leave the room. And I was very upset that I had to leave the room, but the smoke was too much. Obviously, 40 years later, I'm smoking too, so that it left an impression on me. But yeah, I'm very attached to the original game by family and by childhood. And uh, when I had the opportunity, when my father passed away, I was already working with him, and I worked for a company called Upper Deck, based here in Amsterdam, which is famous for the trading cards. So the NBA, the NFL, the American sports leagues. Upper Deck used to make the trading cards, but it also made Yu-Gi-Oh, which you might know, I don't know, but the trading card game, and World of Warcraft trading card game. And I ran the product development department for Upper Deck. So just like my father, basically. I copied my father in quite a lot of ways. And so he passed away when I was working for Upper Deck in Holland. And my family asked me to take on the business. And it was a pleasure to do so. Complicated because I have 3 siblings. So they are also shareholders, which is not always easy. But with that, the company owned the intellectual property to Hotel, and Hotel was still being. I think the name Hotel, the trademark Hotel, was still owned by Hasbro, and the game contract, the contract to the rights, was still with Hasbro. And for the first 12 years, I made new games for my family, like my father did, including this one, which I have here. This has been my day to day. This is a game. This was the best-selling game in America last year.
Whoa, that's a great achievement.
Ever heard of it?
Oh no,
You will
sorry,
find
sorry.
it. This will come out in Italy this year under Giochi Preziosi.
Yeah, sure, I know them.
So they will be selling this year. So last year, this sold more than Monopoly in America.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, big game. Yeah. But I invented it 10 years ago. So it's not just for me. My job is not just to protect old intellectual property and Hotel and old games. It is also to come up with new ones. Right? It's the full job. And it took me many years to turn my attention to Hotel, basically, because it was not a very, I mean, it wasn't the right time to relaunch the game. I gave an agreement to Asmodee for Hotel Tycoon. It was called Hotel Tycoon because Hasbro owned the Hotel trademark. So that was, essentially I couldn't call it Hotel. And I think Asmodee sold their version of Hotel Tycoon for 10 years. And it was a very different game, you might remember. It had airplanes, and I was never happy. I had a team of employees at the time, and they designed Hotel Tycoon for Asmodee, and I was never happy with it. It wasn't the game I like, or the game I remember with the cigar smoke and the Fujiyama and the Safari and all these things, Boomerang. So at the right time, I turned my attention on hotel, and I cancelled the contract with Asmodee, and I took it into my own company, Ooba, so I have two companies, NPD Partnership Limited, which is the company that owns hotel, my father's business, and I have my own company, Ooba, which is, the company is based in Hong Kong, and it is the manufacturer of games. So so at the right time, I turned my attention to this, and I decided to design it in memory of my father. So it is not exactly the same as the 1986, and I think you know that, but it is a hat off to the original that I love. So it's long rectangle, not like, most games are like this now, right? So the long rectangle, it's black. It has the same principal building shapes with the l'étoile originally, and the president, or it was called, that was called president, right? Yeah, and boomerang and so on and so on. So I tried to honor the 1986 version my father did as much as possible, but also, within legal parameters, which means like it's without crossing into Hasbro's copyright, basically. And so we spent it was, I think, a year and a half it took to make this version. And I can show you through share, I can show you the folder, and I'll do that in a moment. We looked at, today everyone expects games to be cheap. When I grew up, a Big Mac meal was probably somewhere around £2, and today it's about 15, or $15 maybe. Whereas in the games industry, the prices have not changed in the same 30 years. It's still $9.99, $14.99, $19.99, etc. So the games industry can only make things cheaper in terms of manufacture, because the prices have to stay the same on the shelf. And that's a problem. It means we have to use shit material in order to make it work financially. And that's a bad thing, because it's not, the games won't last, and it's not sustainable. But we do our best and we try to survive. So I came up with this box design, which is not a top and bottom, which the original was, and many good games are. It's cheaper, but it opens like this. Oops, it opens like this, and we made it black inside, which was extra money, but it's sexier, But it's really cheap material. And we use the same material for the buildings, which are here. I'll come back to that. But what we had to do was, first of all, make the game look like the original.
Well,
but also,
I'm looking at my copy, and it's white inside.
Yeah. So which one is that, from France?
Yes.
Also, yeah.
Yes.
The only country that uses the white version. So I got an email from them today asking for more product to make a new order, and I'm saying, please move to the black, because it costs $13 more to make it black inside, and the French are like, no, cheaper. So it's crazy, man. This is the problem with my industry. The black is nicer.
Yeah,
it's much nicer.
I totally agree with you.
But also this,
the 15th
2024, logo. The 50th year.
Yeah, Max, one of my questions was, I know that in 2023 it was released in some really few countries, but then in 2024 it was released in many more countries in occasion of the 15th anniversary.
Yeah.
Was it intentional, or
I think the problem started with Monopoly.
Oh, why?
Because when Hasbro bought MB, Hasbro was a toy company, and they bought Waddingtons and Parker Brothers and MB, and they bought these game companies from around the world. And Milton Bradley was making Hotel, and Hasbro were making Monopoly, or I think it was Parker Brothers Monopoly, but it doesn't matter. So when they bought MB, they had Hotel and Monopoly in one company. They were like, we'll go with Monopoly. And so Hotel went to sleep for quite a long time. It stayed around, but not in big numbers and so on. And Hasbro, as a clever company, didn't want to let it go to someone like me, because they were like, if we keep it sleeping, then Monopoly is okay, which is business strategy. So I think the real answer to the question is that it's basically strategy. And, Monopoly is a big, big game. In an alternate universe, it could have been Hotel and Monopoly down here, but,
Yeah,
whatever.
one of the things that I hate, it's when I go to the shops and I can see thousands of several different editions of Monopoly and just only one of Hotel.
Well, and someone sent me a theme park version of Hotel.
Oh, yeah, I know him.
It's complicated.
Yeah, I think that it was really cool for me.
Yeah, it was very nice, but when you think about what I was trying to do for the 50th anniversary, I didn't want to confuse the market. And I do get emails from people who want to make city versions of Hotel, but I think it needs 5 years just being Hotel again. In its good, not the Asmodee version, but this version. Give it a few years just like this, and then I will entertain other versions. But at the moment,
Yeah, it's good to see those inventors.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. But actually, that comes back to the legal copyright. So the name Boomerang, we tried to keep as many original names as possible of the hotels. So Waikiki is in my version. And the reason it's allowed is because Waikiki is actually a place in Hawaii. So Hasbro cannot tell me, no, we made the word Waikiki. They didn't. It is a place. So is Fujiyama. Fujiyama in Japanese literally means the mountain of Fuji. And I mean, I could have kept Taj Mahal because it is also a place or a building, but I didn't like it. And I liked the design, but not necessarily the name. And Boomerang, I thought, was a really important one. But Boomerang is not a place; it is potentially a copyright. So for the new version, we called it Boomerang Bay, and my lawyers were like, "That's okay," like one step away.
Oh, so that's why you have replaced the Safari.
I did, yeah, I did, yeah, because I thought it was important to keep original bits, but also make it a little bit new, not aeroplane new, but just a little bit fresh. And I think I like the Mont Blanc as a hotel. I think it covers quite a bit of Europe, like it certainly covers France. And we removed L'Etoile because that was a very copyright name.
Now it's obvious.
And we removed Royale and we added in some sort of Mexican Spanish with Mirasol, which, was, but we kept the building design with the roofs the same as the original. So, we tried to do a little bit of this, and that alone, as a decision process on the names, was a long time with a lot of lawyers, like it was such a headache. But I'm pleased. I mean, I think I always thought that the name President was not a good name for the hotel. I prefer Liberty, which is what we've gone with. because of the Statue of Liberty, but also it means America, it means freedom. Whereas at the time when we were designing this, it was President Trump who was in power, and I thought president was a bad word, you know. So we adapted around, you know, and tried to find a way. Um, and yeah, I mean, it cost a lot of time and a lot of money to. I mean, I can show you now. I suppose that's probably the best way to do it. I share, right? Yeah. So we started in what's that? The 1st of March, 2021, and here's the first photo is your friend's theme park, right? And so 11 days later, we were already working on a first draft rapid prototype of the buildings using the Asmodee roofs, looking at making it cheaper than the Asmodee version. And we were looking at putting it inside a box that opened flat like this.
That was such a cool idea.
Potentially having like a cityscape along the wall. And I think we even did some of that. But anyway, so you can see sort of basic early idea thinking going on here in my kitchen. And then we started looking at, you know, how would that print if we made the box flat like this. And we looked at mood board. Gosh, this is going to take a very long time if I go through everything. Then we started looking at the material. So this is how the game is constructed with the piece of cardboard that, you know, as the sample you have. So these are the first 3D prints. Yeah, that always annoyed me, that the game would fall apart in the box.
Yeah. That was one of my first impression about the game. When I opened up, I thought, oh no, this material is cheap. But then when I started to assemble the whole thing, I said, oh, I was totally wrong about it. That's perfect.
It's not the best cardboard. It could be better cardboard, but that's price.
Yeah, but I don't care about the material because I think that the aim of these hotels is that they can be usable for the player. So they they stay together.
It doesn't fall apart, right? That was my goal. That was my main goal. And also cheap. So you can see here. But that, yeah, so this was something we were looking at very early on. The problems with the 1986 and the problems with. And so we started like designing using the Asmodee artwork. We started like we had some test prints made using the cheap material. Probably had to jump ahead a couple of days. So this is just laying it all up, and then maybe. Yeah, so here's the first photograph
Oh,
of a test print.
I personally love it.
Yeah, but it didn't review. We tested it with a few people, and everyone thought this looked cheap, and it was still not the original vibe, more Asmodee vibe. But you know, we were just exploring ideas. I think. I don't know what's going on here. Each day is a folder, so yeah. So you get. We then started looking at you know, different hotel buildings, obviously different names, But I mean, there's a lot of folders to go through here, so I'm going to be quick. So this was particularly Boomerang, clearly, and then I think I changed my mind about the flat box at some point.
But sorry, but you're telling me that you have designed the box by yourself?
Yeah, me and some people I hire. Yeah. So here you have the first So this is with a game board, right? So I've changed my mind, and we're now looking at what is essentially the first example of what you have in your room right now. And there's probably a lot of pictures of this. Where, even then we were using the original names, President, right? And we were just sort of looking at the material that we ended up using in production and just checking to see how this would look. And I started thinking, this looks nice, right? This reminds me of the original compared to the flat box, cheap alternative. So, we started developing a bit more towards where we ended up. But we also had feedback from customers, and so many. I mean, I can send you the whole access to this. So these things are interesting because I can turn these around and you can see. We started looking at the buildings, and then we started looking at the cars. Clearly here, whether we do limousines, like slightly more go for broke direction. And yeah, I mean, every folder is just a lot of. Oh yeah, this was the first. No, this was early, and we were worried it was two Rolls Royce.
Yeah, that would have been another issue.
So we had exactly. You've got to be very careful with this stuff. Photos. This is for my lawyer, talking about the original buildings and the ones I wanted to make. This is where we started talking about intellectual property issues. So there you can see the 1986 one, and above you can see what we're looking at. So it's even talking, sending her a picture of the copyright, legal line, the names of the hotels and so on. So we started getting a bit more serious at this point. This is interesting because the original graphic designer of Hotel 1986, his son, Will Unwin, Malcolm Unwin, and his son, Will Unwin, owns Kinetic. And I asked the graphic designer, Will Unwin, to do the graphics for Hotel because his father did the 1986 version. So he started looking into the logo, and so we're starting to get into graphics now, basically. So we started trying to keep that original, like, angled logo of the 1986 one. Meanwhile, what's this Hotel IP? So this is all about the different versions that were made. Sending this to my lawyer, it was so complicated. But there's the 1986 one in pristine condition. I have many of these in my storage.
Yeah, and that's still one of my favorites.
Yeah, such a beautiful product. Look at that. So beautiful. Still love it. And then my version, like at home again in my kitchen table where I'm sitting right now. Well, I mean, you say that we're now on the August, so we're 5 months in, August of 2021. The folder is this long. So even today, this is the 13th of February. I'm sending videos to the French, to Nancy. That's why bonjour. Well, the version you have with the white inside is made by Lancet. And this video is me telling them, please move to the black version. It's better, you know. So I'm still creating folders within the hotel. This is us working on the 50th anniversary logo. I don't even know what's in. So, and this is all this year. So, that, you know, within this distance, there's 2 years, and as you can see, there are so many folders. I can pick one at random, and it will be. This is the punch board. So this is the buildings. Working on the artwork here. You know, deciding on the cutter to the colors to the. You know, it just keeps going and going and going. This folder is. The hotel, I mean, I can probably have a look at the size of this thing. It's 42 gigabytes, this
Oh,
folder.
that's huge.
It's a lot of work. There's a lot of work here. You know, starting to look at the building designs, the artwork for the board. I mean, I don't know how much information you want, but I told you I can give you access to this folder. And you can go through it. You can go through it for fun, and you can post anything you like on the website, because I don't believe there's anything. This is a development folder, so it'll only ever really be artwork. It shouldn't have anything, you know, secretive in it. So I don't mind. You know, all this development of each hotel in graphics, some early black, exploring, you know, the sort of skyline neon energy, other options, you know, just early thinking on the packaging, basically. It just goes on and on and on. Yeah. Now we can move into 2022. What's this screenshot? Yeah, it just every day is recorded and keep a very accurate profile, you know. So as you can see, we're starting to develop the packaging that it ended up becoming. But yeah, maybe best to stop sharing and return to questions, maybe. But I'm sure you're enjoying this because I know you're a
Oh,
fan.
I love all this stuff, really.
But I can give you access. I can give you access to this folder. You know,
That,
this is where we start working on the rules,
yeah.
the dice, etc. I mean, you can see without images at this point, just text, and you know, just trying to. It's a very long process making a game, especially one that you know your heart is very attached to. I'm very precise. I was always very. This is starting to be the instruction drawings. Yeah, it just keeps going and going. This is when we were shooting the TV, the videos. So these are actors in it. This is in Firenze, see? Um, um, yeah, I mean, just, yeah, yeah, so here we go, Master Assembly. One of the movies.
Yeah, one thing that I loved of this new version is that the box fits perfectly. You don't have to play the Tetris. And I love the fact that it closes. It has a mechanism on it. I don't know.
No, there's a catch.
Ah,
Yeah,
catch. I didn't know the term in English. Sorry.
yeah, a catch. And that's also the box design, or the way it's made is also a registered
Oh,
patent
yeah,
of my
sure,
company.
sure.
Yeah. It's all intellectual property, dude. It's all intellectual property. So yeah, this particular television shoot was very lovely. The actors were really nice. I was in Firenze for this.
So these actors are from Italy.
Yeah, all Italian. Um, so was the guy who opens the box and dings the bell. He actually works for the production company. He's not an actor, whereas these ones were actors. So yeah, very very fun. I've got a feeling his name was Max, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and so, yeah, we've got all these different pictures, and this is stuff that we make so that when we find a customer like Asmodee and they want to put some pictures on Amazon.com, then we also provide them with the photographs. Part of my company's job is all of this. It's not just make the game; it's give them everything. Yeah. And here we are preparing to sell the product. So here you go. So here we go. The classic family game, a global success for decades, relaunched in original style. And I think it is fairly close. I mean, it's different, right? I didn't do the red edge, which I would have liked to do, but I needed the space.
So Max, about the old edition.
Oh, yeah? This one.
Yeah, you're telling me that it was designed by Mr. Geoff, but it was...
This is
yeah, it was illustrated by your father, am I right?
That was my father's design.
Oh, that is cool. I love it.
Yeah, back then. Yeah. So Jeff came up with the gameplay and the original Dennis Fisher version, which was very simple. I don't know if you've seen one. I think you have it on your website, actually. I have an original in shrink wrap still, which I don't know if it's worth any money, but I still have it. And so when my father got the project at NB, it was his job to design what we both love as Hotel, the original in our mind, with the red border and the silver logo and the silver president building. That was all my father and his team. Yeah, so he ran the department, and then it was my turn. And with this, I wanted to do like the silver here, but it's funny. And today it's really difficult in making games, really difficult. So I did what I could do. And I think if my father came down and had a look at this, I think he would be happy. I think he would definitely recognize his design for sure. With the hexagon Fujiyama and the boomerang and so on, he would recognize it. But yeah, I did what I could with the budget, basically. And as you see with the folder, I took it seriously. There was a long time, a lot of decisions, including, to me, I mean, one of the other games I make, I don't know if you know this, you might know it in Italy as Brevido.
It's Brivido.
Brevido, sorry.
Yeah, sure, I know it.
So that was also a game I owned, and my father made for NB with Malcolm Unwin, the same graphic designer, and his son and I made this.
Oh yeah, I know it. I didn't know it was you.
I own it. Yeah. Also, Ooba. But with this one, even more. This was Corona lockdown number 1. This was my time at home, and so for me, Ghost Castle or Brivido and Hotel are my childhood, and so to have the chance to remake both was a big opportunity, right? I did this one first, and then I did Hotel. But with this one, I wanted to honor the DNA of the original. But actually, this is also Jeff Hayes, by the way, the same inventor. With this one, I did the box thing. Like I showed you, the hotel was going this direction. Because, again, price is important. And for this game, because of all the other bits of cardboard, this was the cheapest and also best option. So I'm going to do, and if you don't mind entertaining me, I'm going to build this for you
Sure, please.
and show you the
Yeah.
DNA, the honor of the history that I care about. So yeah, I still do too, but I think mine is better, actually. I think my father would agree. So the very first haunted house had a metal ball like this, and not the glow in the dark skull that you might remember. So I went back to the original ball and I made the ghost glow in the dark. So this glows in the dark. And he drops the ball, which is fun, but it's sort of DNA glow in the dark and original DNA with the metal ball. So this works in a very simple way. So normally I can do this in about 1.5 minutes. So in goes the central wall, then goes in the long wall, which goes on like this, and it clicks into the packaging like that. So that's essentially your castle already. And this is the same as the original, the 4 rooms, but it has an edge. And then the one you grew up had plastic pieces that went here. I decided to go back to the very first version, which constructed like this cardboard tube. And so the Jeff Hayes original was like this. And then, yes, indeed, the stairs, of course, classic trap. The most important click, clack of the game. So that clicks in there. And now we have the stairs, like this. And then we build, this was a new trap. This one was invented for this version. It's called the bookcase trap. So that goes on there. And then we can add this piece of plastic here, which was the same thing you remember with the cage that does this. So that goes on like this. Then we go into the next room. Complicated doing it like this, I have to say. So this one, I have the axe, which you will remember. So that clicks in there. And then also the shaky walkway, which in the original had a corner piece here. And so in this one, they combine, the axe will fall onto this piece like this. So then we add the divider where the ball hits, and that goes in the tower like this. On goes a piece of cardboard there, plastic, sorry. You construct the top of the house with 2 halves, goes on there. And now it's already getting too big for the camera. And then I added a second floor. This was new. That goes up here. And so you have a sort of a top layer up here. And the ghost goes on top like that. So it's the original with a lot of respect to the original, but also different to the original. And in my opinion, the original was complicated because you're in a scary house and you have to go up the stairs towards the bad guy and close the coffin. And I thought, no, I want to get out. So we start upstairs. We are a team of paranormal investigators, like the Ghostbusters or whatever. So we have these characters that were designed to look like Indiana Joneses and Ghostbusters and things. And you start upstairs, and you've been investigating the haunted house, and you've woken up the bad guy, and you want to get out, right? So we reversed the direction in the game. Go down the stairs, not up, and get out of the house quickly. And the other thing I didn't like about the original was 4 players, 4 characters. So in my version, you can pick your color. So if you're blue, you get 2 characters, which means 8, which means more death, basically, more action. You know? So they all start upstairs, and then you go downstairs and around and so on. And the traps, they worked very well. I don't know how to show you this from a camera point of view, but my favorite was always the bookcase here, this was a skeleton in the original, but I put her on one of the red footprints there, and I will drop the ball. So it's so charming, it's so lovely. So yeah, this was my Corona, and it was again, a real pleasure to explore, the history of a game that's very old, was first made before I was born, but was a big part of my childhood and my father's career. And then, make it again. I mean, what an honor, right? And I took it seriously. I wanted to make it great. I wanted the fans to be happy. I wanted to be happy myself. But at the same time, I needed to make it at a cost. And there's business and there's, and it's this whole bubble of stress, actually. Responsibility, I think, is a good word for how I feel about Ghost Castle or Brivido and Hotel.
So, Max, let me tell you that it was so fun to see you build it all up with all that passion. Yeah, it was something you were showing your son. Look at this, look at this.
I love it. But see, this guy was invented by my daughter, actually, because the original idea, and the reason it's designed with this cut here, the original idea was like the ghost face that you put on.
Yeah, sure.
In the original idea was that he would catch you and then he would slide over the top. And I was playing it, and at that point, come on, whilst we're talking, I'll share again. So this one started in September. Here you see the original. This is this is not the original. This is another version. And I'm obviously looking at the different constructions early on. I think if I jump forward a bit, early sketches. By the way, these are sketches of what we could do. Very different design, and we ended up going. Yeah, we looked at plastic construction, Puzzle Town. All of this is creative thinking, early brainstorming, I think, is the... So here you start to see the very first box design principle, very early. Come on. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the month of February, because it was New York Toy Fair that we started having here we go. So here's the first version of my Ghost Castle. So you see how different it is, how exciting it looks, even though it's just pieces of brown cardboard, right? It looks like a castle. And in Corona, which was March, right? The first lockdown in Amsterdam was March 2020. You were first, in fact. I was in Florence when it started, and I flew back very quickly. And it was, in fact, it's where you were. It was north, wasn't it? It was, the lockdown was leaked, and everyone started traveling from the north-south very quickly to get to their families. I remember. So Hetty, my daughter, and I started playing the very first white version. When my daughter and I started playing in lockdown, it was just white, the whole game. And we used little red stickers and green stickers, to make the path. And we had the ghost chasing us, and it didn't work at all. And at this point, the ghost wasn't even sitting on the top of the castle. He was a character that moved in the game. And it was my daughter who put him on the top of the tower and said, "Oh, look, the ghost should live here." And then everything changed. You know what I mean? Like, the idea was brilliant, actually. And I called the designers who were all working from home because it was lockdown, and I was like, "Guys, we've got to do something here." And then we had the idea of the ball coming from the ghost, and this was a really fun project. Early sketches. I did a lot of the artwork for the final version. I did a lot of the artwork myself because a lot of it is a lot. I like Photoshop, and so the bookcase in the library was all done by me. It was a lot of work, that project, more than Hotel, actually.
Well,
Faster, but more work.
at least you had free time to do that, at least.
Nothing else to do. Nothing else but rosé and Americanos and cigars.
Yeah, sure.
But he was such a good idea. I was very proud of her, and just the idea of how ideas come. Like it goes between lots of different people. The Ghost Castle ball has inspired other characters, and this one drops a dice. So, and it's surprising how well it works to pick up, a square. You would have thought it was difficult, but actually, it's pretty straightforward. So I'm thinking about things to do. This is a prototype. I mean, it's you can see the quality of it. It's very early, but I really enjoy the play of that. So that's what I do for a living. So let's get back to Hotel. What are your other questions?
Yeah.
Let's consider it.
Can you please tell me when it will be distributed? Which countries? Because I've seen, for example, that in the South of America and in Japan, it has not been released for a while.
Yeah, so I am talking to Japan, actually. There's a company called Mega House in Japan who are interested in Hotel. So they have a sample and they are testing it. They have the price. So possibly it will go in Japan, maybe next year. I try not to push aggressively when it comes to selling. I think something like Hotel, I think because of its 50-year history, it should be respected. And if a company is interested, it's because they know the history and they believe in its future. Whereas with something like Tapple, which is a fairly new game, I would push this to my customers. With Hotel, I just trust, and so, of course, Asmodee used to sell Hotel Tycoon, and they had the whole world, and they worked with their partners in other countries like Hungary or Eastern Europe or whatever. So they don't have the world I do, and so now what they've done is they've said, but we still believe in it, so they will continue to have most of Europe. Lancé has France, and that is, I don't know if they're the strongest partner anymore. I think maybe if France became available again, I would prefer to give it to Asmodee because they would do. This is an Asmodee version that I'm holding here, as you can see, and they've chosen for the black, right? Whereas Lancé chooses for the cheaper white version, and I find that disappointing. And France is a big market, I think, for Hotel. But Lance also do manoir hanté, or the Ghost Castle Brivido. So they're quite a strong partner of mine. So quite often I just sort of trust them. But I think for hotel, we'll see. So in the UK, it's selling now. In Finland, it's selling very well for some reason. Asmodee are selling for the first time this year in most of Europe. And it's, country by country, it's coming. I recently had a request for Canada. So, bit by bit, it starts to sell itself, I think. So although I started it in 2021, I haven't really tried to sell it very much. And I think seeing that Canada and Japan may start next year, in fact, Canada want this year, that shows you that a game well made, well priced, and with history like this kind of sells itself.
But at this moment, still no one in America is going to sell this game. And also in Latin America, it's got a lot of problems with the price of containers, but also the dollar, and also the tariffs. There are taxes. So quite a lot of my product can't really succeed in Latin America because it'll be too expensive. And it is also quite a poor continent. So people can't afford to pay the higher prices that is necessary. Having said that, this game is in Mexico and it will go into Brazil this year. And in Mexico this year, they will sell 200,000 of that, which is a lot. I mean, a lot for Mexico. I mean, most people who make games today, they would be happy with 200,000 worldwide. So for 200,000 of Tapple in Mexico alone, that's a big sum. But yeah, I guess, yeah, it is for Latin America especially. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll give you an exclusive. There she is. This is my travel version of my. Yeah. And this is a prototype that is currently being developed, where the letters pop in with the silicon system. And this is a 10-second timer. In the main game, it's electronic. This is cheaper. So this is the big daddy. And with this one, the letters press down also, and then you release them like this. But I won't explain the gameplay to you because Jockey Preziosi will do that for me. Keep an eye out for Tapple. It's going to be big. It's going to be big. Any other questions on hotel? Buildings fell apart so easily. It's really annoying. And as you can see from my folder, in the first week of development, my main goal was buildings that do not fall apart. And also, I remember presenting it to the industry at one of these showrooms that you pay for. And I would throw a president building across the room and it would stay together. And I'd be like, that's my plan. Yeah, but even my father's 1986 edition was not the sloping roofs of President would fall off really easy.
I know it.
I mean, buildings like Royale was okay, Boomerang was okay, but the President always falling off. Also, Waikiki, Safari, yeah. you know, with the pins. I find it very annoying. And I have a sample that my father had in his office, and it was glued.
No.
And that was the man who designed it, you know. And I was like,
That's funny.
so yeah, a good example. I mean, Fujiyama or the bank, or I can just choose any building. Let's choose the tallest Liberty Tower. And I'm going to experiment with you now. I'm going to throw them across my house.
Oh, please don't do like the Tesla truck guy.
Yeah, with the bow and arrow.
Yeah, yeah, that one.
Okay, so here goes. We'll do the tall building first. And this one. And then this one. Now you can see me coming back, and you'll see it like this. Everything. Well, it's a simple thing. Now I do know that this material is not the best. And if they want to pay more money, I can make a special edition with really good cardboard here, right? But the game board is good. In the box, it doesn't matter, because the box is made of the same material as this. And I don't think the box is important. I think most people think the buildings are a bit, but I think once they're constructed, then I don't think you can. One of my main goals was to fix that problem of the building, as you saw from the very first week of development. And yeah, I'm trying to remember if there are any Easter eggs for you. Oh, there are. Easter eggs in hotel. One of my personal favorites is the money. So the money, the code, if you can see the code here, you know how on a dollar bill or, so it's RF for Roger Ford, my father. And then it's the day, the 15th of the 12th, 41, which was his birth. And then 22nd, 12,
Yeah.
07, which was his death.
That's,
So it's a memory of him.
yeah, that's so sweet.
Which I really enjoy. Also, it was the same price to print money on both sides, but I went for the white because the original 1986 was also like this, and I really like. These are the little decisions that were made. You know, it didn't save money. It was for me. It was like, yeah, but that's hotel. That is hotel. You know. So yeah, that's in there. Yeah, that was a good one. I have a feeling there's another Easter egg, but I have to ask Will Unwin, the graphic designer, because he does sneaky little things that I don't know about. So sometimes I'm pretty sure there's more, but yeah. And thank you, by the way, because you really you've helped me to remember my passion and to go back in on a very long journey that I've moved on to the next project, you know. I'm now like absorbed somewhere else. But
now I have to see it because I love all these details.
Yeah, a little bit of this one, yeah, maybe. But I'm now just able to enjoy it again. I can't remember if there are more Easter eggs in this one. I'm so glad we stayed together in that experiment because, you know, if you're recording this, which I think you are, yeah. So if that had gone wrong, the whole concept of what I tried to do for the hotel has just gone out the window, you know, like no, well.
Well, another question is that I was playing with some of my friends, and they asked me why there's no expansion, and I came with some of cool ideas. I don't know if you're
Well, I think
if you ever thought about it.
This is when passion and commercial come together, right? So my passion for hotel and its design, I think, has been completed, right, for me. And now it's in the journey of commercial, right? I know how much money I spent on making hotel, and it was a lot. I mean, and it's currently at, probably at zero now, right? So the investment and the orders to date have cleaned the gamble or the risk to zero. And so now I'm hoping for 10 years of good sales. Asmodee will launch, and I hope, that they will continue selling it for another 10 years. And then it will be profit making as a business venture. If the volumes of something like hotel get to an interesting level, and actually I know Tapple, my word game, is doing about 2 million units a year. Hotel, I mean, to be honest, in 2024, I'll be happy if it does 300,000, right? So if it does 300,000 for 10 years and it's continuing at 300,000, then yeah, I would do extensions and I would look at it. And if it's stable in its sales, then I'd be interested. But right now, because it's so early in I know to you, it's not a relaunch. It's always been available. It's always been around for 50 years, but just a little bit or different or whatever. I think it needs to become a bit more cult again if I'm going to explore adding a side panel with a bridge.
But you're open to that.
Of course, but I definitely look at the ideas you have now, and I would definitely acknowledge you in royalty payment if your ideas are worthy and go into production. Then you would be respected. But I don't think the customers at this point, I mean, Asmodee being one of the biggest options of my customers, it's coming into Italy this year in Italian through Asmodee.
Yeah, I already own that.
Oh, you have? So it's already in shops?
Yeah, I guess 3 or 4 days.
Right. So I wasn't aware. I knew it had landed because I saw the container shipments. I just didn't know if it had, hit the shelf. So so if it's 3 or 4 days in, it's too early to start talking about expansions and things. But I believe I wouldn't have spent the 2 years developing it that I have if I didn't want it to keep going, right? So of course I'm interested in ideas. Just don't expect me to make it tomorrow. I think it's worthy of love, this game. It's 50 years old. It's older than me. I'm pretty sure it's older than you. And so from that point of view, of course, it deserves to be, for the fans to have a say. And who knows? But this year, I'm not working on hotel. I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
Hotel.
You have seen enough hotel for now.
Yeah, it is a bit like an obsession. You go deep. When I'm building, coming up with the idea of how to construct this, to the artwork, to the bricks, to the color of the windows, to the name of the hotels, to the legal implications of doing so, to the color on the inside, to the design of the plastics, to the coding of the X and the X here to help you or whoever. All of this, there's so many micro decisions. And as a one-man company with freelancers, it's all on me. The freelancers will do what I ask them to do because they get paid. But it's the decision in the end is only on me. And I definitely wear it like a coat of responsibility, which means stress, right? And I wanted to honor the history, the inventor, my father, so I think it's okay for me to say I'm taking a break from hotel. My 2-year relationship with hotel has cost me, and I need to heal, and I hope the fans don't hate the cardboard. That's my biggest worry. Not for the box, like I said already, but for the buildings. Because I genuinely think it's okay. And on the smaller buildings, it works better. The corner gap is not so bad. And on the bigger buildings, it's a bit more. I see that. I'm not stupid, And I hope they won't go online and review going, oh, look at this, it's a bit cheap. To them, I say, look across the room versus your 1986 version, and then come back to me. Tell me. And also remember that in 1986, the game was selling for the same price as it is in 2024. And so, in a way, I prefer a thank you from your fans because it's not easy to make a game stay the same price, basically.
So, Max, we have come to the end of the interview.
Okay.
I can let you go back to your family. I really have to thank you for your availability to be here with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It was great to see you, to talk to you.
Piacere. Buonanotte.
Bye.
I'll speak to you again, I'm sure. Take care.
Ciao.